In this video, I would like to talk about another Python program I'm working on. It's an astronomy and space news pipeline or aggregator. And it's a thing that I built because every couple of months I do a presentation on recent developments in the solar system, as I call it. It's a presentation in 45 minutes to an hour about all things that were happening, moon landings, Mars missions, scientific results from asteroids, exoplanets. Well, the exoplanets are not in our solar system, but are somebody else's solar system. And to create that, I keep track of all the news. For this, I used to create an Evernote document every month with links to the relevant articles. That worked very well when I started this, something like 7 or 6 years ago. But as of late, there's so much news, and I have found so much interesting new sources, websites where I get the news from, that I found myself more like administering, copy-pasting links, and I quickly store them in my Evernote document, but never having the time to look at them, to read the articles. And yeah, that was kind of a shame, because the whole thing is about knowing what's going on and reading about it and find information, in-depth information on what the missions find, what kind of scientific results they found. So I was thinking all that gathering of links and putting them in categories, which is what I do in Evernote. Put them in, this article goes under Mercury, this goes under Mars, this goes under asteroids. Is there another way to automate that? So I thought that must be possible. So I've been asking around. I've been asking some colleagues of mine, data scientists at DIKW Intelligence, where I work. I've been looking through looking on the internet, Stack Overflow. What they said on Stack Overflow is, well, if you want to do that, it's called text mining, and you need to read this book. And I was thinking, this might take a little bit too much time for an ordinary hobby project. If I really have to do a study on text mining, this might never finish. This might never come to a result that I can use. It might not even save me time for a long time. But then a thing came along called ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is very good at text. So I was thinking, what if I can ask ChatGPT to categorize this stuff? Would that work? And I tried it, and yeah, it kind of works. Well, I have to say what it does. I ask ChatGPT to do two things. I say, here's an article, here's the text of an article, and here's a summary of the article. I get this from RSS feeds. And when I do that, I ask ChatGPT to put 1 to 6 tags, keywords on this that are relevant to this article. And I asked it to pick a main category from a list that I have. So I have a list of main categories: Moon, Mars, Mercury, comets, and I say put it in one of these categories. If it's not possible, if this should not belong to any of these categories, put it under miscellaneous. And so the tagging works very well, actually. Well, at first you find out that ChatGPT works a bit like having an outsourced team with very different people that you ask to categorize this, and it looks like every time you run ChatGPT, someone else is answering your question and gives the results in a different way. So one time it's capitalized, one time it's uppercase, one time they have comma separated, then someone else does it new line separated, and it's a bit of a mess. So you have to be very clear. You have to say to ChatGPT, I want it capitalized, I want it comma separated, that's it. And even then it will divert sometimes, just like it's almost like they're human beings answering your question, and sometimes they don't read the instructions. With the picking of the main category, at first that didn't work so well, actually. I think it was right something like 20% of the time. But then I followed a free course on deeplearning.ai, and they had a course on prompt engineering, and they had some good tips like put the input that you want to be checked by ChatGPT between triple backticks or triple asterisks. So I put the title between triple backticks, I put the summary of the article between triple asterisks, and then I say, okay, pick a category. And I think by now I have the prompt good enough that it will be correct something like 70% of the time. I'm still as a human in the loop, and I think the way I'm working now I will never be out of the loop, because I still am not always content, not always happy with what it chooses, what it picks, and sometimes I just, and also it's, even though I say pick from this list, it will create new categories, even though I don't want that to do. There's a couple of categories, it's very notoriously always picking a different one. But okay, it's getting better. Now, this all currently lives on my laptop. Even the code is not online yet. It will happen some time later when I'm more happy with it. But okay, at least I'm happy with how it's working right now. So what it does is it asks ChatGPT to do all that. Then it stores the in-between result in a JSON file. I check the JSON file because I'm the human in the loop. And then when I'm happy, then I store all the results in an Elasticsearch index on a Docker container on my laptop. So that's not the end result, I hope. It would be great if the end result will be on a website somewhere. So I'm working on that. Will probably take some time yet, but it will be there sometime. I've also looked if I could just put it in the cloud. But for a hobby project, I think Azure charges for a very simple Cosmos DB database something like 200 euros per month. It's definitely not in the ballpark of a hobby project. So that's one way. I would like to make this go public. I mean, that everyone can see and search themselves. Another way I'm thinking about is, so my initial idea of tagging this stuff and putting it in a main category is all kind of fun, but like I said, it will never be 100% automated this way as it's working. But I was always thinking maybe I can do a different thing and put it, ask ChatGPT to create stuff for a knowledge graph. So with a knowledge graph, if you put all these articles in a knowledge graph, at a certain point when you have enough news articles gathered and stored, you will get something like this. There's an article about the Mars Insight lander from NASA that was landed on Mars a couple of years ago and done seismic measurements, so Mars quakes basically. And so what could happen is that you look for Mars Insight, you find, oh, it did a seismic experiment. So you click on the seismic experiment and then you find, oh, there are other missions that also did seismic experiments. Let's have a look. Oh, there are seismic experiments on Apollo missions. Oh, there are also proposed missions to do seismic experiments in the atmosphere of Venus. But not on the ground because it's too hot there, but with Venus balloons with ultrasonic sensors. So you go to Venus balloons and then you find out, oh, wait, there are other plans for Venus balloons, but they're going to measure different things. Oh wait, there were also 2 Venus balloons that were launched in the 1980s on a Soviet mission called Vega 1 and 2, and they were from the French Space Agency, CNES. Oh, let's see what CNES also has done in the field of planetary science. So that way you can, well, basically get in a rabbit hole. That would be fun also. Not sure it would help with the creation of my presentations because that's still the main goal. But yeah, that could be an interesting direction to go in the future. All in all, I have to say this project is already making my life easier because I don't have to go through all the RSS feeds to make sure I will not miss anything. I know I can run the Python script and it will store everything for me and I can review it as much as I want. Another way where AI helped me in this project was with GitHub Copilot to create the Python code. I was thinking that to create this I had to learn website scraping, and Copilot came with the suggestion of using the Python library FeedBurner to read the RSS data, and it was much easier. And it also, of course, came with a suggestion how to do it, and I could check if that was what I wanted. It even came with suggestions of astronomy news sites to get the RSS feeds from. So that was quite of interesting. I was not expecting that. it helped me create the code, and I think without AI-assisted programming, it would probably have taken me something like 2 or 3 times as much time as it did now. So that's a very nice thing, I have to say. Like I, for example, saw in a blog post by Simon Willison, he said AI-assisted programming is making me more ambitious. That's definitely the case for me in this regard as well. So that was it's a very interesting experience. It's very interesting to see how how you need to interact with AI, how different that is. Now you can talk English to it. And yeah, I hope to be able to show more of my work in the future. So you check back in a couple of months, I'd say. See you then.